All right, in this video, we are going to be talking about how to create a killer sign-up form for your e-commerce brand. Now, when I say killer, I'm not talking 5% submit rate, 6%, 7%. That's all average. That's mediocre. I'm talking 17% submit rate, 11.8%, 12%, 13%. Above 10% submit rate is where you want to be as an e-commerce brand. Basically, how many people that visit your site can we get to get entered into that email list and sent through our welcome flow? That's the overall goal. How can we capture as many people as humanly possible? Okay. So why should you listen to me on this? Like, why do you care? Well, I have worked directly with over 40 different e-commerce brands of all different industries. Honestly, it's close to 50 now. We have generated over $20 million in added revenue through Klaviyo alone, myself and my team here at Social Scout at my agency. And actively at this very moment in time, like from the time of recording this video, we work with 6-figure brands, 7-figure brands, 8-figure brands, as well as 9-figure brands who are doing over $100 million per year through Klaviyo, right? Now, this is an example that I wanted to highlight. I have tons of these, so shoot me a DM and I can totally just send you whatever you want to see. But this brand is pulling in 70% of their business from Klaviyo, right? It's up 405% from the previous period. This is what a healthy account looks like. Most people think, most agencies will tell you, hey, 30% is great, but you can get as high as 70, 75%. Now, the first thing you need to understand when it comes to sign-up forms, okay? Sign-up forms are not set and forget. Okay, sign-up forms are not something that you just set up one time a year ago and you just let it run and oh, it's doing well. No, sign-up forms are living, breathing creatures almost, right? Sounds kind of silly, but sign-up forms need to constantly be tested every single week almost. You should be running some type of A/B test on your form, okay? And I have a whole separate video on A/B tests, but they are the single highest leverage piece of your entire Klaviyo account, okay? I cannot stress this enough. If I were to come into an account and change one thing and one thing only to have the most immediate and the most drastic revenue impact, I would change the sign-up form every single time, okay? It's directly tied to your list growth, and it's directly tied to how much revenue your welcome flow will make, right? So any small increase in submission rate on that form can have a huge ripple effect throughout the account. Here's a perfect example. This welcome flow from this brand that we manage was doing $20,000 per month. Literally the next month after, we bumped it up to $47,000 coming from their welcome flow, right? And this was a result of drastically opening up that sign-up form submission rate, right? We just had, it was a sheer law of numbers, right? We just had way more people go through the welcome flow. Obviously, we did rebuild their welcome flow, okay? So I'm not going to hide that. We did totally overhaul their welcome flow, which I have a whole video on welcome flows. But a big portion of this was because of the form, okay? So how are you going to drastically increase the amount of emails you collect? What are you going to do? I'm going to give you all the tools right here that you could just implement yourselves, okay? So first things first, your offer needs to be way stronger and it needs to be more clear, okay? You have to understand people are pretty selfish nowadays. They're very sensitive to giving their information out nowadays, especially for SMS, right? So your offer needs to actually be something that people care about, right? Sign up today or sign up for exclusive updates. Like, no one cares about that. We're just going to be totally honest with ourselves here. No one's signing up for that. It doesn't speak to anybody. What's in it for them? Okay. Put yourself in your shopper's shoes. What would you want to see to give your information away? Right. And so that's kind of the overall goal here. There's a ton of different things you can do. You can do 10% off. You can do a dollar amount off if you're a higher AOV brand and you don't want to give 10% off of like a $2,000 product. You can do enter to win raffles, right? Like we're doing with this client, which is crushing, by the way. I'll go over this form in a second. You can do giveaways, like I just mentioned. You can do guides, free ebooks that pertain to your industry. There's a million things you could do, but your offer needs to be strong. It needs to be something people care about. So if you're not running an offer, please, even if it's not a dollar amount, run such type of offer. That right there will just naturally increase submit rate. And then also your offer needs to be very clear. Okay. You have to understand people are scanning these forms. Like they're not sitting there and like really reading it with a monocle, you know, they're just, they're halfway over to the X button before the form's even done deploying. You know what I mean? So you have to make sure that your offer and what you're actually giving people is immediately presented, right? So you'll look at this example of a brand we manage. Look at how almost obnoxiously large their offer is, right? And we've been testing this. And we used to have it a little bit less. It wasn't like minuscule, but it wasn't as prominent. And we said, what if we just blow up the actual font size and remove all of the other text and just make it so that the only thing they focus on is what they're getting? And long and behold, that just drastically improves submission rate, right? So make sure your offer is good. Make sure it's something people care about and make sure that it's clear. That's the first thing. Number two, remove unnecessary text, what I talked about. Okay. Anything that is not about the offer, just scrap it. I'm telling you right now, I've tested it. It doesn't do anything. People don't care about signing up for news. They don't care about signing up for updates. You don't need to tell them that you're going to give them updates after they sign up. Like they don't care. Like they're just looking for a discount. Right. And again, I've built these systems for over 40 different brands at this point. Like I've tried everything. Trust me, removing all of that clutter and just making it so that their eyes only land on the offer will do wonders, and that will increase the potency of the form and increase the amount of revenue you make from the form. Okay, so that's a pretty simple one. Now, number 3, use a micro commitment. Okay, micro commitments, basically, before you actually ask the shopper for their email address, you want to simply ask them a very low commitment question. It could be anything, right? I have tons of examples here, but you want to ask them a low commitment question before they enter their information. Once they go ahead and answer the question, or they click, yes, I want to claim, then they can go to the next step in the form where you ask them for their email address, right? So what we're doing there, we're not just like coming out of the gate, like, give me your info, right? That's very off-putting. It seems very spammy. And also the shopper, like when they see an empty white box like this, they just know what's happening. They don't even have to read it. They know instantly, oh, here's one of those pop-up forms, and they're asking me for my email again, right? And providing no value, right? So you want to stay away from that, okay? You want to ask them this low commitment question first, because you're lowering their guard and you're making it a lot more likely for these people to actually follow through and give you their email, since they've already kind of like started this task, right? It's a psychological principle called commitment bias. Once someone has started a task, they're going to be much more likely to finish it, right? And you're not just kind of like hitting them out of left field and just asking for their email. So definitely want to do that. Don't make your forms like this. I think this is Billabong. I just typed in a big brand and I was like, let's see what their form looks like. And long and behold, this is not a good form. Okay. So yeah, just focus on the micro commitment here. They don't have it. Now, if you want to see an example of a micro commitment, here's something we've been doing. So this is a client we manage. You'll notice we're not asking for their email. Like we're not, saying, hey, give us your email. We're saying, hey, you have an incentive, whether it's a mystery deal, whether it's 10% off. By the way, I didn't include this in the guide. Mystery deals, killer. They work so well. So if you're running a 10% off, literally just change the copy in the form and call it a mystery deal or a mystery gift and say you qualify for a mystery gift, and then say unlock now. Guarantee you submission rate will go up, because it plays on like curiosity, right? People just want to figure out, what they're getting, right? And once they've already gotten it, now they have the incentive like physically in their hand. So they're going to go through with it. So that's my little spiel there on mystery deals. You should totally try them. But notice how we're not asking for email, right? We're simply saying, hey, you've got a gift, you have an incentive. Do you want to unlock it? Yes or no? And obviously the yes button is huge, and the no thank you button is very small text. I've seen people have the no thanks button be like the same size as the unlock button. Like don't direct people to close the form. Make it so that they can if they want to, but don't like lead them there. Anyways, yeah. So you'll notice this is the first step. Once they click unlock, they go to the second step, and we actually ask them for their email. Very simple stuff. It would take you 10 minutes to figure out in Klaviyo. I have a tutorial as well, building a form live on my channel, but that will help you guys a ton. I guarantee you your submission rate will increase. So that's that. Now, going off of this also works really, really well, like almost like a dream, honestly. So this, when paired with the micro commitment, is just a killer. Okay. So ask a preference question in the actual form. Ask them for some information about themselves. It goes against like popular belief when it comes to just like marketing in general, because typically you want as little friction as possible. Like you don't want them to have to interact really with anything. So it can be kind of counterintuitive, but we've been testing this for a while. Every single time we run it, it just drastically improves performance. So you want to ask them a very just simple question about maybe what bucket they fall into. So for example, this brand that we manage sells dance shoes. Okay. So they have shoes for men, for women, for kids, and then we have all shoes. Okay. So let's say you're selling apparel. You might have men's apparel and women's apparel, right? You might have different product lines. Hey, what problem are you looking to solve? It doesn't really matter what the question is. I'll be totally honest. You just want to find like your main buckets that people can get grouped into. And you want to ask them a question about that. Okay. It does a couple of things. So people like feeling heard, right? They like feeling like they're being listened to. And so we honestly, like we assign custom properties to this data, like depending on what they clicked, you can then go and build out different flows based on what bucket they fall into and send them different welcome emails. We do that for a lot of clients. But even if you didn't want to do that, you could still just implement this in your form and just see a huge increase in submission rate and not really have to build out all the welcome flows, I would recommend it. But you could totally do this without doing all that, right? So here's an example of how we did it, right? You've got a mystery deal. What type of shoes are you looking for? Men, women, kids, all shoes. No matter which one they click, they still obviously go to the next step to give you their email, but they feel more heard now. They feel like you're listening to them. They feel special, and that makes people want to engage more than just like an unlock now, right? So definitely try that out. That will help a ton. Okay. Next, this is a big one as well. Okay. Kind of a lot of people just miss this one. It's pretty common sense. So you want to minimize as many input fields as you humanly can. Okay. Again, the more information you ask for, the lower your submission rate will be. Okay. And this goes for the second step right here. It's okay to ask for preference questions. That's different. But if you're like, when it's time to collect their email, only ask for email. Like, do not ask for other fields of information like email, birthday, zip code, first name, last name. Like, there's just no point in doing that. And I guarantee you will see worse results if you're asking for all that info versus if you're just asking for one thing, right? When it comes down to collecting their actual info, like that's when people put their guard up again. So we tried to lower it. It's as low as it can go now. Like, don't let it get back up by just asking for a million things and making the process super complicated. Like when it comes down to it, you know what I mean? So this is an example of what not to do. I just picked a random brand here. They're asking for too much stuff. Like, again, just only ask for email. And actually, kind of off topic, but look at their discount, look at their offer. Like, why is it hidden? Why is it buried in this paragraph? Like, this should be the main incentive. Like, everyone should know about this. I honestly didn't even see it, right? So yeah, moral of the story here, minimize your input fields. That will help you guys a ton. One piece of information at a time. Also, if you're collecting SMS on your form, which I recommend you do, I have a whole video on my channel about SMS. If you're collecting it on your form, only ask for email first and then go to the next slide and ask for SMS. Don't ask for email and SMS together. That is not going to be good, right? People are just going to fill out one. So that's that. Also, you should be using a teaser on your forms every single time. There's no excuse, okay? Teasers are pretty much proven at this point to increase submission rate. There's really no reason why you wouldn't want one unless you're like very, very particular about, the look and feel of your site. But teasers are barely noticeable. They go in the very bottom left corner of the screen, is the best spot to put it. But what they allow you to do is it allows shoppers the ability to basically just access your form and get their incentive whenever they want, right? So if your form deploys like 5 or 6 seconds after someone lands on the site and they click no, because maybe they don't know enough about you yet, like they're a cold traffic shopper, which is fine, whatever. Let's say later on, 5 minutes later, they're still scrolling around your site. They see a couple products they like now, and now they're kind of like, damn, I wish I had that incentive. Well, if you didn't have a teaser, what are they going to do? Like, most people are not going to scroll all the way down to the footer of your site and enter their email there. Like, most shoppers aren't doing that. They have 20 tabs open. They're looking for things quick. They have short attention spans. So if you don't have a teaser, like, these people are just kind of stranded. You know what I mean? So always make sure you have a teaser. Here's an example of a teaser we made. Just say the actual offer. Be really concise with it. Don't put any fluff on there. Don't make it too long. And I usually recommend doing the horizontal, like, banner looking teaser and putting it in the bottom left corner of the screen. Okay. Don't mess around with like the the corner ones where it's like get 10% off in the corner. The circle ones, they just, in my opinion, look really bad. And these we found convert a lot better. So always use a teaser every single time. Okay. Also, this is a big one, a little bit more technical, but not super technical. Make sure your targeting is like actually properly configured. And when I say properly configured, right, never use scroll percentage. So make sure this is unchecked. Okay. Those just never perform as well. They can be a bit gimmicky, right? Like if someone lands on the site and just instantly starts scrolling, it's just going to pop up instantly and it's going to look kind of silly and spammy. So don't use scroll percentage. Make sure you're testing the time delay. You'd be surprised how much the time delay can actually have an impact on the submission rate of the form. You don't want to wait too long to where people just aren't seeing your form and they're bouncing by the time your form even deploys. But you also don't want to wait. You don't want to just deploy it instantly, because then that just appears kind of spammy. And if it's cold traffic, which they are, if they're seeing the form, if they're cold traffic, like they don't really know anything about you, they don't know who you are, they're not going to sign up after a second. Like they just got to your site, So typically I would say like 5 to 8 seconds is the sweet spot, but you should test it and figure out for yourself. And lastly, make sure that your form doesn't deploy to visitors who've closed the form in the last 5 days. You just, if they didn't respond, don't be spammy, don't be annoying. But yeah, that's that. So make sure your targeting is properly configured. Okay, this is a big one here. So make sure that you are building and running an exit intent form. I see this forgotten all the time by e-commerce brands. Basically, you have your main sign-up form, yes, and then you have your exit intent form, okay? So exit intent forms appear when someone is, their cursor goes up to close out of the tab, and, Klaviyo will detect that, and it will deploy a different form. Now, the thing about this is a lot of people, they'll have a main form, let's say giving 10% off, and then they'll have an exit intent form that's like also giving 10% off. And it's like, guys, you always want your exit intent form to have a different offer than what your main one is. This person already saw your main form. They didn't respond to it. Like it just didn't speak to them. They're not interested. So what makes you think that they're going to be interested in it the second time around after leaving the page? You know what I mean? Like you want your offer to be different. A lot of people will do like 10% off in the main form and then 15% off in the exit intent form. That works well because maybe they just need a little bit more of a financial incentive to go through with it. But honestly, we don't run those often. This brand was doing $1,000 raffle, and then for the exit intent form, we're doing a discount, right? So this works really well for them. But you can do a ton of things, right? You can start with the discount in the main form. You can do a sign-up form. You can do like a raffle in the exit intent. Like different people respond to different things. You can play around with like different emotional triggers. But that's what you want to do there. Make sure that you have one because you will pick up a lot of stragglers. Like, of course, it's not going to collect as many emails as your main form will. It just won't inevitably, but it will perform pretty well and you'll collect a lot of people, especially if you have like high amounts of traffic. It'll amount to a lot of revenue. So make sure that you have one of those. But that is this video. Didn't make it too long, but that's kind of like a very concise. I know I was moving fast there, but really potent video with just a lot of stuff in it. So let me know in the comments if you have any questions on anything. But don't neglect your sign up form. It is the single most important piece in your entire strategy. If you want help with your e-commerce brand, I obviously run an email marketing agency. We're one of the highest quality agencies in the game. Feel free to check out our case studies and our client interviews and testimonials on our website. I'll do a free audit on your account completely for free. Like me personally, I'll do the audit and I'll tell you all the bottlenecks in your account. I'll tell you how much revenue we'd be able to add to your business. And I'll tell you concrete pricing about how much it will cost. The one thing I'll say is that we will not make you an offer if the ROI doesn't make sense for you, right? We're an ROI driven agency. Yes, we make very beautiful emails when, we'll get your account in tip top shape. But at the end of the day, we're here to make you money. Because in full transparency, the more money we make you, the longer you stay with us and the more money we make, and everything's month to month, right? We don't lock you in. So that's our philosophy, just to be fully upfront with you guys. But yeah, if you need any help, let me know. And if you want a free audit, click the first link in the description and you can book a call with me and we'll chat about your brand and I'll do the audit. So appreciate it, guys. Look out for another video soon and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.